Mm-mm-mm. We are live, so hot. We're not even going to do our normal countdown. Orange and blue today, presented by Sean Honda. And that's right. The beautiful thumbnail from one Andrew Mason asks the question, begs the question: is Russell Wilson turning a corner at training camp, Mace? 3 days in a row. And we're going to include Thursday that we can't talk about. 3 days in a row, Russ has looked good. So there's your Russometer, right? We'll get that out of the way. Let's get what is it? What is he doing? This in the Russometer. There we go. 1 to 3. What is it? It's yeah, there you go. Great.
Mm-hmm.
3 days for number 3, Mace.
I wouldn't say Thursday was on that level. I'll have to disagree with you there because some of the decision making in red zone was not what Sean Payton wanted, which was in part why we saw red zone again today. He talked about it yesterday. They were going to have a red zone redo, but this was a good day for Russell Wilson. You can look at some of the issues on offense, and frankly, they're not on the quarterback. Um, we'll talk about, for example, the first 2-minute drill period at the end of practice. That's not on him. You got a holding penalty on Lloyd Cushenberry. You've got a false start on Garrett Bowles. Second consecutive day that the offense has opened its 2-minute drive with back-to-back penalties. And Russell Wilson's not at fault for that. It could have been better. The red zone period today, he was under some duress. He didn't make a bad decision, but I would argue that you could say, oh, well, maybe the pass to P. Ryan is a touchdown. I would say no because Alex Singleton was right there.
Right.
He had a touchdown pass to Brandon Johnson, but in a game situation, that is either a heavily altered throw or a sack for Jonathan Cooper. And maybe Russ kind of held it a little bit too long, giving Cooper a chance to break through and have what would have been at least a QBH there. But very nice decision on the 2-point conversion and another good 7-on-7 period. Actually, a good 7-on-7 period for all three quarterbacks because the ball never touched the ground during that period.
Yeah, I think Russ in 7-on-7 was 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Like just distributing the football and also in one-on-ones, which do matter. It is part of football. He went after Sertan twice with Judy and it worked. It hasn't worked with Judy on Sertan this entire camp. Today, and there's certain routes you can't run with Judy. I'm not giving everything away, but he went after Sertan again because it's one-on-ones with Jerry Judy, and it connected.
It did. It was a good period. The one thing we'll get to Russell Wilson's throw to Jerry Judy at the end. It could have been better. I think Russ is going to kind of critique himself for the throw because it kind of hung up there, giving Damari Mathis a chance to close and a chance to potentially make a play on the ball. But on balance, this is a day that saw Russell Wilson go in the right direction. Although it must be said, a certain someone who has been wrecking plays for the offense wasn't out there today, and that was Justin Simmons getting a rest day.
Right. Right. Justin Simmons usually getting those picks. We did see batted passes, though. You know, if we go down the Russ checklist and you're like, okay, better in the red zone, really good in 7-on-7, attacking, aggressive, there's still a batted pass. Zach Allen, who's a beast, by the way, got his hands on one as they were trying to get in the end zone, and he just batted it down. Wasn't picked off. Maybe if Justin Simmons was out there, it would have been.
Exactly. But Simmons wasn't there to make the play. So there you go. But it's still, I mean, we're still seeing stuff go askew from time to time. I mean, I'll say this. I actually am getting a little concerned about the batted passes.
Yes.
Because, and it looked to me, Zach Allen, this isn't like a getting a hand up for Zach Allen, right? On that play. It just hit him. It was kind of like the pass that in the practice we can't really say much about. Like just hit Pat Surtain, right? I mean,
right.
It just hit Zach Allen. You see, yesterday when it was deflected at the line, Jonathan Harris got his hands up. By the way, another good day for Jonathan Harris today.
Yep.
That wasn't the case on Zach Allen. But
Not
Zach Allen hasn't had Bill Kolar coaching. See, Jonathan
He's
Harris
a mountain of a man, though.
Bill Kolar is going to get it. Yeah. Jonathan Harris knows get your arms up if you can't get to the quarterback because that's the old Kolar technique, right?
Right.
Yeah, Zach Allen hasn't heard Bill Kolar scream that in his ear, so he didn't have. Turned out today he didn't have to.
Yeah, Zach Allen's just huge. Like Matt Henningsen's a big guy, and he moves just like Zach Allen. He's just not as good.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach Allen makes him look like a high schooler.
Mm-hmm.
Allen is huge,
Yeah.
and he's making his presence known most days. And it kind of goes without saying, Mace. Maybe we haven't talked about him enough, but honestly, just every day, I'm going to count, and we're going to keep bringing up Jonathan Harris, and we'll keep bringing up Jonathan Cooper. The Jonathan's getting it done. Allen's there every day. We may
Yeah.
not bring it up as much, and maybe it's just because we expect it from him, but he is everything he's cracked up to be.
Yeah, and he's a plus player against the run as well. It's not just the pass rush for Zach Allen. You can see why the Broncos targeted him. And the more I watch him, the more I think, okay, this isn't just a guy who had a big year in his contract year, which initially, honestly, Cease was my fear because he did turn it on last year. He did have the best season of his career, but it appears to be more of a player who is on the ascendancy rather than a guy who just okay, it was the this was the fork in the road point in my career. I've got to get it right here. So that's a good sign. I think the Broncos look like they're going to get the best out of Zach Allen. And when you kind of start going through the free agents that they've brought in or retained over the last few years, let's face it, they haven't gotten a lot of value from those contracts in recent years, right? I mean,
Right.
Tim Patrick has, the first 2 years of his deal, the Broncos will get 0 games, unfortunately. Cortland Sutton hasn't lived up to the contract yet that he got, although he's having a very good training camp. DJ Jones, getting a little concerned about him because some of the injuries are starting to accumulate. And he had some, he was fighting through some stuff last year as well. And he's a big bodied guy, and those guys sometimes tend to wear down.
Yeah, we do our what if series during the offseason, maybe even some coming up. Mace, my thought today as I'm watching Allen and I'm thinking about the other starters when they're out there and when they're healthy, what if this defense stays healthy? I know it's not going to happen, but that what if is pretty god blankety blank exciting.
It's good at all three levels. And but that being said, although I think there's reason to be encouraged, and we've talked about how well Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito are playing on the edges, I'm still going to say, let's see what happens when you get to the games and see how they do it, if they can make it translate. Because I think it is fair to wonder right now if some of their success is coming because Garrett Bowles appears to be still not all the way back from that injury last year. You can see it in his balance. And Mike McGlinchey has gotten off to a ragged start to camp.
Yeah. Yeah. So offensive line issues are causing some concerns. And listen, the Russ thing, this is why you and I preach patience. And it doesn't mean we're right about everything or everybody else is wrong or whatever, but like it's just best to be patient in these training camp situations. Russell Wilson didn't forget how to play football.
Yeah.
And we've seen that over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's a good sign. I want to see him stack some more days on Monday. I want to see him continue to keep climbing the pocket. But it's looked a lot better for Russell Wilson. I thought yesterday was his best overall day on balance of training camp, even with the deflected pick six in 2 minutes at the end. But I think he took it to another level today. And so that's what you want to see. He's headed in the right direction, although given chances in the red zone, I would like to see some more touchdowns because he and the offense had 3 red zone plays today and then a 2-point conversion. Only the 2-point conversion found the end zone. So there's a little more there that I want to see because look, I'm sorry, I can't get Brandon Johnson that touchdown there on that third play of the red zone sequence because Jonathan Cooper had Russ dead to rights and pulled up.
And the P. Ryan one, everyone gets excited about. That's not going to be a score.
Singleton's going to bring him down 9 times out of 10 right there. That's why I may be kind of a tough professor when it comes to grading here, but I think I know what that play looks like and I know what that player looks like. And more often than not, Alex Singleton's going to bring him down. More often than not, almost any inside linebacker is going to bring Samaje Perine down short of the goal line there. So that's not a touchdown.
Yeah. Jody asked what wide receiver is Russ starting to connect with the most. Judy is the one that's getting force fed the ball.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
It's happening naturally with Sutton, and it's also starting to happen naturally with Brandon Johnson too.
Yep. Every
Yep.
day, like Vic Fangio used to say, man, Brandon Johnson is one of those guys. Like he's showing up.
And whether it's the rookie inexperience for Marvin Mims Jr. or the injury that he was fighting through coming out of minicamp, Brandon Johnson's ahead of Marvin Mims Jr. right now. Brandon Johnson has the inside slot type receiver job in his hands right now.
Mm-hmm. He's
And
got the eyes of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And with Mims in the one-on-ones, there was one throw where he got his guy, and I think it wasn't Jaquan, it wasn't Bassey. I'll think of who it was, but Mims got him, and Russ underthrew Mims because their chemistry's off, and it allowed the coverage to catch up to Mims. It was knocked away. It wasn't a touchdown. So like Mims, okay, kid, you're fast, but this league's full of fast guys. Like you gotta stay healthy and get it. Like Brandon Johnson's getting it.
Yeah. You got to give some guys patience. I mean, Johnson, to his credit, starting over with a new coaching staff, really dove in, buckled down, and you could see it in OTAs and minicamp. Now that we can kind of say a little more, I guess, about what we saw because we're seeing it in training camp. He was playing at a level where it's like, okay, I dare y'all to cut me. Dare you to cut me.
Yep.
Even with all the receiver talent you've got here. And the guy that you brought in with Marvin Mims Jr., Johnson was making more plays then. He's making more plays now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
simple
that's
as
right.
that.
Brian asked, are they working on the screen game? We can't talk specifics, but we can tell you this. They're doing everything.
Yeah.
They're doing everything. And there's one, my favorite route. If you've ever listened to me talk about my favorite route for running backs, they're even doing that, which I don't think we've seen since the days of Gary Kubiak. So, yeah, are they working on the screen game? We can't tell you specifically, but we can just say if it's a football, they're doing it. They're doing everything, everybody.
It's pretty comprehensive.
I like that word.
Yes. Thank you.
Comprehensive training camp coverage.
I can be a comprehensive catastrophizer. Very thorough on that. But not today. Okay. No, we're not.
No,
today we're not catastrophizing, right?
Yeah, it's good day Saturday. Good day, man.
Yeah, it was nice out there. Warm, got up to 80 by the end of the practice. Little breeze. It was a good day. It was a good day out there at Sanctuary Health Training Center, and now the guys are going to get a break. Lloyd Cushingberry talked about getting some treatment and then going to play PlayStation tomorrow. It's as much a mental break tomorrow as a physical break for players, for the coaches. Dare I say for reporters as well? Yeah. It'll be good.
Well,
Although I got a long list of stuff to do tomorrow is the problem, right? It's
stuff we pushed off.
Yeah. So
it's stuff I scheduled on Thursday and then had to scramble to do partly today and part tomorrow.
Yeah, I got some of it in like late Thursday afternoon, early Thursday evening, and then I got some in yesterday as well, but I'm still behind. Hey, if I'm not going to turn the camera on my computer here, but if I did, you'd see a place that's an absolute disaster that I got to tidy up here. And I have to tidy up before the cleaning people come too. That's the funny thing.
Yes.
You clean before it's cleaned.
You wash your dishes before you put them in the dishwasher too, I bet.
I definitely get the worst of it off. Yes.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I have to go to the grocery store and the Costco. And that's another thing about training camp. You get locked into going to Costco on a Sunday. I violate one of my personal rules, never go to Costco on a weekend, but I have to do that right now because there's no other choice that I have.
Right.
So
yeah,
bring it on.
So we're out there at training camp. We're watching the Denver Broncos for you. It's orange and blue today. We are presented by Champ Honda. Today, Russell Wilson looking better. Williams cutting, looking good. We had a question in the chat room about, is it going to be 50-50? Like, yeah, I mean, I think so, at least to start the season, but we'll get there. We're a week away. They'll already have played a preseason game by this time next week.
Right. And the starters will have played. And I love the follow-up. I think it was a DMAC asking if that included Russell Wilson, and Sean Payne's response is, well, he's a player. And I like that. I actually like that response because what it tells you is that last year was about what does Russ want? What does Russ need? Russ. They weren't the Broncos, they were Team Russ, basically. This
Yep.
year they're the Broncos and Russell Wilson happens to be their quarterback. That's a healthier dynamic for everybody, I would think. I mean, the fact that you had Russ's personal slogan that he brought in, let's ride. The fact that you had that on a flag that was toted around after touchdowns when before games when the
Didn't
Broncos
they give
came
out a
on the field.
towel that said "Let's ride" too?
Yeah, it's like right. It's back
It's off
back here.
camera somewhere.
It's
Yeah, I can
partially
see it
off.
right there.
Right there.
The
Right there.
DE.
Yeah, you can see the DE. Yeah, they gave out a towel. They put it in the rotating marquee outside of the Pat Bowlen Fieldhouse at what was then UCL Training Center, now Sanctuary Health.
Right.
And I thought it was very significant that the day after the regular season ended, Let's Ride stopped rotating on that digital marquee. Literally that Monday. It was there that Friday, the previous Friday, the last day of practice. Came back on Monday. The season was over. It was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that symbolically has an awful lot of weight and was a precursor to where we are now, where Russ is the quarterback. He's very important, but he's not bigger than the team right now.
Right. And you're seeing Media Credit brings up the joint practice with the illustrious LA Rams. We're going to learn a lot from these preseason games, and we're going to learn a lot from the joint practice, which will be closed to the public. So I'm already frustrated because if it's closed to the public, I don't, unless the Rams media talks about it. We've talked about this, but...
No, like I've told you, I think it's going to be one of those sponsor days. So it's going to be closed to the public, but there are still going to be people like fans watching on the hillside, I believe. So it's one of those days. So I think we should be able to, it won't be like mini camp, I guess is what we're saying in terms of what we can come and share with you. So
right.
We'll have that be comprehensive. Who's hot? Who's not? Who's hot for you today, Cecil?
Who's hot for me? The guy that's always hot is Taylor Grimes. Like, I was just going to ask you, like, do we get to this point every year where it's like, hey, this is the same. We're seeing the same stuff in training camp, everybody. Like, Taylor Grimes is going to get open. So who's hot for me? Who's hot for you, Mace?
Who's hot? Well, I was going to say Taylor Grimes. I was also going to say,
yeah.
I think Jerry Jeudy had a good day as well. Jaleel McLaughlin
beat Pat Surtain twice.
Yeah, sure. Jaleel McLaughlin had another explosive run. It's kind of the same cast of characters we've been talking about as far as the players that are doing well right now. Yeah. Now, who's not?
Who's not hot?
Okay. Garrett Bowles' false start penalty in the 2-minute period. And
yeah, that's a problem.
He's struggling right now. I don't think there's any other way to say it. Mike McGlinchey and Garrett Bowles, I believe their combined cap figure is $35 million in terms of average annual value. They're both having their issues, but it's definitely worrisome for Garrett Bowles because health is involved with it too. And on top of that, from his second team All-Pro Apex of 2020, his form has declined since then. There's no denying that.
Yeah, and I think this might just be who he is. So
Broncos are paying an awful lot of money to tackle position. They need to get more than they've been getting so far in camp. I think McGlinchey is going to be fine long-term, particularly as a run blocker. Garrett Bowles, if this is going to be how he plays, they won't have him back next year. They won't pick up that contract, and they'll eat a little bit of dead money and get some savings. But then the problem is you're putting yourself in position where you either have to spend a lot in free agency on a tackle or you gotta go draft one. And the last thing this team needs to be doing is creating extra needs for itself, because
especially if they move on from
holes.
Russ.
Yeah, there already are enough holes on the roster here. So
yeah, super quick, Mace, before we're out of here. Abbreviated show today. We appreciate everyone. We got to go write our practice reports. Chances we see Cam Fleming at left tackle. I'd say there's probably a 25% chance that happens, and not due to injury.
Okay, I'm not sure about not due to injury. I'd say see Cam Fleming at left tackle at some point. It's probably about 85 to 90%. Not due to injury, I'd say probably about right there with you, 20 to 25%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
That's
we're
why
going to
they
do.
brought him back. They knew they
It's a
needed
good move. It's a good move.
They needed a starting quality player in reserve with 2 tackles who have had injuries. Mike McGlinchey has missed some time to injuries as well. The chances of Cam Fleming having to come in and start at some point this season for multiple games are excellent.
He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on Twitter at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey. It's Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda. We appreciate you all. We'll be back on Monday. Everyone, check out our practice reports at denversports.com. He's Mace. I'm Cecil. OBT is a BFD. Until next time, stay tuned and please stay frosty